I can tell you one thing for certain about that 2-inch by 6-inch white blaze on the Appalachian Trail. They look the same whether you're going north or south. Navigating on the AT is certainly something to think about, and it's a primary choice to make when deciding to do a through hike. Are you going to go no-bow, so-bow, or maybe a flip-flop of some sort? Now, what I'm talking about and showing my choices about today goes a little bit further than just that. Like I said, the blazes look the same whether you're going north or south. Of the several section hikes I've done, I've gotten lost on the AT once. Calling it lost may be an exaggeration. My son and I were hiking and my mind wandered for a bit. You know, that malaise of being lost in thought while you're moving in a general direction? You've done the same thing while driving to work. You've done it 1,000 times, and then all of a sudden the fog clears and you look up and you wonder where the last few minutes of your drive went. There had been a small junction in the trail just a short time before. Nothing major, but as I looked up, as I walked looking for a white blaze, I didn't see one for what felt like way too long. I asked my son, when was the last white blaze we'd seen? I wasn't really paying any attention, he says. Well, thanks a lot, laddie. So I stop and I look up the trail, back down the trail. No joy, no blaze. Don't panic. Keep walking forward and keep your head on a swivel. You should see a white blaze soon enough, assuming you're still on the AT. Funny how the seconds stretch into what seems like hours when you think you might be off trail. Well, all was well soon enough. I see a white blaze and I know I'm still on the AT. I'm still going in the right direction. Now, where in the heck am I precisely on the trail? Where's my next water source, next shelter? Where exactly am I? Now, the AT is not a difficult trail to hike from the perspective of navigation. It is supremely well maintained, very well traveled, very well marked. There are a few tools, however, that you might want to invest in prior to starting a through hike. Now, what those tools are and how you use them will vary on your comfort level, what I call nerdiness, and your budget. So let's start with the most basic and perhaps least expensive, a compass. Now, I have one and always carry one. Maps and compass skills are not a necessity for the AT, but it is a skill, and the proper use of a map and compass is indeed a skill that you need to practice at. But it's a skill that could come in handy should all other resources be lost or fail. Do make certain that you get a good compass. It doesn't have to be military grade with all manner of fancy doodads, but you're going to want something a little more sophisticated than what you get out of a gumball machine or a Cracker Jack box. Next are actual maps. I love maps. I love them for the beauty of what they are. Now, I have an artist's eye, but a really good contour map in color and proper scale will provide a wealth of information besides just being pleasing to the eye. These maps are of a couple of the sections of the AT, which I purchased from the ATC itself. Each map represents roughly 80 to 90 miles of the trail. Now, I enjoy using maps for planning and answering questions about the hikes or hikes that I'm undertaking. Some maps are used as a record of trails that I've completed in an area like the Sipsey. Others, like these of the AT, are for planning, daydreaming, and amusement. I have never taken an actual map with me on any section hike of the AT, regardless of the distance or section. Now, that is not to say that you should follow that same plan. While they are useful for planning and strategizing, they are, in my opinion, unnecessary for the AT while on the trail. It's not impossible to get lost on the AT. It happens every year and unfortunately has had devastating results in the past. There are, generally speaking, just too many people, too much signage, and too many other resources to use to know where you are and where you are going to need to rely on a map of that sort. If you feel safer with a map, absolutely, you need to take one. Who cares what anyone thinks when it comes to your personal comfort level or personal safety? Another reason for me for no physical maps is the weight. I know, it's only a few ounces. My comfort level affords me those few ounces, so I'll take advantage of it. As you'll see later in the video, I don't apply the same logic for other navigational resources. Now, I'm sure many would say that a compass is redundant on the AT, but it's a penalty that I'm willing to pay. Next up is trail guides. Now, here you'll find a number of resources both from the ATC itself and others. The AT Data Book and AT Trail Guides can be found on the ATC website and are a fine resources for distances to water sources, shelters, landmarks, and scenic points all along the trail. The guides are generally organized by state, and the data book is well organized. Both can be useful in planning and for use on the trail. These are updated each hiking year by the ATC and contain lots of information about distances, shelters, their respective amenities, water sources, and more. Now, you may choose to carry the data book as it is or break it down into sections. Graham weenies, unite. Another option is the AT guide from AWOL. I really like this guide personally for just the crazy amount of information and detail contained inside. Distances, amenities at each shelter location, town information, and so much more are updated every year by a team of thru-hikers keeping up-to-date information on addresses, phone numbers, distances, water source quality, and on and on. This is one resource I would advise you to take advantage of. The cost is very reasonable and it is available in multiple formats and customizable for the NOBO or SOBO hike plan. I still have my guide from the sections I did 2015 to 2018. I choose to use the AWOL guide in two formats. Now, I would encourage you to get the package deal of the bound book and the PDF download file. And here's why. I'll use the printed guide itself as a planning tool for mail drops, town stops, and a rough idea of distances I want to cover between resupply points each week. I'll use the PDF download on my phone while I'm on the trail. I'll also take the bound book, break it into smaller sections of the hike, and send those to myself in resupplies up the trail. So why have the same information in two forms on the same hike? Well, as they say in the military, 2 is 1 and 1 is none. My phone could suffer a tragic meltdown on the trail. Having the paper format for that section of the trail is extremely valuable. Yes, it will cost me ounces, but it'll save me tons in my comfort level and my psyche. The PDF download files are full of all the same information from the hard copy and are linked throughout the file to phone numbers, GPS navigation, and a whole lot more. Handy tools to use while on the trail. Now, I'll put a link in the description below for both the ATC and the AWOL website, so you can check out maps and guides in both places for yourself. Lastly, there is actual GPS navigation on your phone. Now, another option for this besides the AWOL guide is the Gut Hook guide. This has grown into popularity every year on the AT and other long distance trails for its ease of use and loads of information about the trail. You download the app to your phone, you buy the maps for the sections that you want, you're good to go. Now, they offer a thru-hiker combo special for all the maps needed to do the entirety of the trail, but they also offer a free download of the approach trail up Amicalola Falls to the top of Springer. Now, this will give you an idea of the information that you'll see and how it works. I'll likely be getting the Gut Hook guide on my phone also. Why? Well, that one moment that I mentioned at the beginning of the video with my son, I like the idea of being able to pull up the Gut Hook and know exactly where I am on the trail and where I am in reference to the next peak, the next shelter, the water source, or whatever. Again, it's a redundancy, but I'm already taking my phone and the AWOL guide's already on there, so the phone's multi-purpose. Lots of different tools all rolled into one small package. 2 or 3 is 1 and 1 is none. So what choices for navigation are you likely to make? I encourage you to think about it carefully and most of all, be honest with yourself about your own limitations and comfort levels. Do what feels right to you and helps you feel the most confidence. You won't always be alone on the trail, but if you are, or if you get turned around, having good navigational resources can make all the difference in a mildly embarrassing story at the shelter or town and a bad ending to your thru-hike. And until next week, take a hike, love somebody along the way.